We're going to be talking about the riding position, anchoring and stopping procedure on a bike. Now it's something we don't really think about. We can tend to get on the bike, we hang on to the handlebars and we just sit on our arse basically. So we're not actually with the bike, we're grabbing hold of the bike. So now we're going to be talking about how really you should be sitting and controlling your bike static. So there's only 3 ways to steer, brake and accelerate. All the bikes, every bike that we have, everything on 2 wheels, it's the same principle. It doesn't matter if you're on a Harley or a little sports bike, it's all the same principle. Everything is exactly the same. Without exception, all bikes steer, brake exactly the same. There's different ways of operating the bikes. If you're sitting on a cruiser compared with a sports bike, the operation is slightly different. Different methods of doing it. Right. So we want to talk about sitting on the bike. How you should be sitting on the bike. So Ben's sitting on his bike. What can you see? Can anybody see how he's sitting on the bike now? What he could improve his position on that bike is at the moment? What do you think? Okay, bend your arms. Why does he want to bend his arms? Why do you think?
So your forearms horizontal to push the steering.
Okay, so we'll talk about positive steering later on, so that helps with that.
If your arms are locked, your elbows are locked, and you go over bumps or a matchbox or whatever, the shock will go all the way up your arm and through your joints. If they're flexible, your arms, your muscles take it.
Yeah, so there's lots of good reasons. It helps with steering, it helps with you being relaxed. What you tend to do when you've got stiff arms, you tend to hang on to the handlebars. When you loosen your arms off, you're actually supporting yourself with your body. What about feet position?
Balls of the feet.
Balls of the feet? Yeah? Do you know the difference if you're on your instep as opposed to balls of your feet? Okay. So this is what we're talking about today, is sort of best position. So really we're talking about the balls of the feet because it helps with the balance, helps with holding on to the bike. So yeah, when you're on your instep, what you tend to do is you tend to all your weight goes straight onto your legs and into the peg. If you put it on your balls of your feet, it naturally throws your weight forward. So you're getting from the instep onto the balls of the feet, and it naturally pushes your weight forward. What about grip on the handlebars? Shall we hang on for dear life? Which some of us do.
On the XR, yes.
So what we want is a really light grip. We shouldn't be hanging on to the handlebars for dear life. What we want to do is we really want to relax on the handlebars, and really you're just pushing the handlebars. You're not hanging on. The rest you hang on by actually your body position. What happens if I think there's an analogy that you've probably heard, that it's like holding a budgie or holding a hamster. That's how light that you want to hold these handlebars on. Body position. What do you think? Straight upright, sitting on your bum?
Nuts on the toe, as they say.
Lean forward perhaps? Yeah. So we've got our arms, we've got a light position on our hands, on the handlebars. We've got our balls of the feet on, and that naturally puts you forward. So that means that you're not, because if you move back, you're hanging onto the handlebars. Move forward, and then you loosen that grip on the steering, and the steering gets lighter. Anchor points. So on this one is a great position. This is shaped for a reason. Now, who's heard of anchor points on bikes? What do you think you're nodding your head. What is an anchor point?
What is an anchor point?
Yeah.
To secure you to the bike, so your knees, all of your feet, bum even is an anchor point. You could say your hands, but that should be light as anything, so they're not really an anchor point.
Yeah, it's exactly that. So if we were doing a right hand bend, what foot or what knee would you use to anchor yourself on the bike? Okay, so we're doing a right hander. So where should we, I think you hear about weighting the pegs. Well, we're talking about anchoring ourselves on it. So we're actually locking ourselves onto the bike. What the mistake some people make is if they're doing a right hander or a left hander, what they do is they hang on to the handlebars. Now what we're talking about today is using these core muscles to anchor ourselves on the bike. So if we're doing a right hander, we want to actually anchor ourselves on the outside peg. Not the inside peg, the outside peg. Does that make sense? Yes, sort of. What you're doing, you're actually locking yourself onto the bike. So if you're doing a right hander and you're locking yourself, so you're putting your weight on the balls of the foot onto the peg and leaning into the bike, look what happens. You don't have to hang on to the bike, do you? You don't have to hang on to the steering. You're locking yourself into the bike.
If you're anchoring yourself on the outside, throwing your weight on the outside or on the inside then?
Well, anchor yourself and go around a right hander. Which is the heaviest part of your body? It's this, isn't it? So you're pushing your weight is, for today we're not racing, but for moving your weight across, you move your body across. So you're anchoring yourself on, and all this is still loose. So it's really important to get the idea of anchoring points and using our core muscles, not hanging on to the bike, using our core muscles to anchor ourselves on the bike. You can, not necessarily for today, but have a think about it. You can move your buttocks to the inside as well. Isn't that what we said about moving our weight across? Not necessarily today, but think about, so when you're doing your bendy work, you can do that, and that helps transfer the weight. Of course, your head, again, how much does the head weigh? A bloody lot. And so all you have to do really is move your head across to where you want to face. When you're braking, what we tend to do, we'll be talking about braking later on, but position on the bike, when we're braking, what we tend to do is let our weight fall forward onto the handlebars. So we're braking and pushing onto the handlebars. Again, what we want to do is get used to locking ourselves onto that bike. Even slow riding, what we'll be doing later on, is locking yourself onto the bike so all this is nice and loose. And if later on you feel yourself tensioning up, do the old chicken wings, relax a bit, because you will get a bit tense today. Just remind yourself just to do the little chicken wings. We'll be talking about the problem is when you're braking and you've got all your weight falls forward onto the handlebars, you can't steer. We'll be talking about braking later on, so it's another reason to lock yourself onto the bike. So if you're braking, it's locking yourself onto the bike. Don't let your weight go forward onto the handlebars because you can't steer. You can't steer, all you do is go in a straight line.